It's been a while discussing on this particular platform, and that's basically to make sure that yes, we put all that is needed right in order for we to be able to give our viewers what they expect. For many of us in Nigeria, we face so many issues, from the issue of inflation to the issue of paucity of funds, so many economic issues trailing us every day. But then, as they say in Nigeria, we survive every challenge that comes to us. For some time, we've discussed about the redundancy of the National Orientation Agency for like 2, 3 years back. And now we are seeing a reverberation of that particular agency. So many Nigerians are confused with respect to the collapse of the national grid, the issue of insecurity, and those responsible to actually create orientation and reorientation. We've always asked, are they actually doing their job? That's the more reason today why we are here. In discussing this particular issue, there are two major issues we are going to be discussing today. One of them is, why do Nigerians quickly rush to where there's a fallen tanker to actually scoop fuel? And the other one is, why is it that we have people below the age of even 18 seeking to get rich? No talk of those who are actually above it. These are some of the menaces we have today in the society. And the question is, how do we tackle it? And how do we educate the people if the orientation agency are actually doing the job? And that's the more reason why we have those in this particular arm of government to actually come and tell us what are they actually doing with respect to the National Orientation Agency aim to see that yes, we have a society where everybody is enlightened about societal development. And today on this program, we'll be having two guests. One will be coming during the second half of the program. But the first one we have apparently in the studio now is Mr. Adigo Uche Frank, who is the Deputy Director, National Orientation Agency, FCT Directorate on Civic Value and Democracy Education. He will be telling us more about why Nigerians actually, many young Nigerians seek to get rich quick. For those of us who have been trailing the activities in Anambra State, we've seen that the governor has actually taken major step in addressing this particular menace. For many of us who grew up to know the Southeast to be one of the places where you see young guys learning on trade at the same time becoming successful after spending much time with their trainer or their employee at a particular point in time. Mr. His Excellency, the governor of Anambra State, took major steps to destroy certain elements in the society, certain things that they are doing in the society that has actually portrayed us as a bad person. And today, Mr. Frank Adigo Uche will be telling us more on why and how can we curb the issue of getting rich quick syndrome, which is actually affecting so many youths. Mr. Frank, good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon edition.
Good afternoon, Mr. Issa.
It's nice having you because for some time, about last 2, 3 years, we've been batching the National Orientation Agency. But what's the new change that we're having now in this particular agency? So many Nigerians for some time actually complain that the agency seems to be actually having so many challenges. But now we are seeing a reverberation of it. What's changing it anyway?
Thank you so much, Mr. Issa. Really, you're following the trend of what is happening around the country and in particular National Orientation Agency. Yes, I would say we are in a new trajectory, we're in a new step. And let me give the kudos to who the honor is due. I'll give the honor to our new DG, Malam Issa Onilu, who has really, changed the narrative. During the period of Mamsa, everywhere you talk about, once you mention Mansa, everybody knows what it does. But for one reason or the other, not really lack of leadership. I would say, yes, part of it is lack of leadership, part of it is lack of funding. The new sheriff is in town, as the matter of saying, and she's really changed the narrative and he has really come on board to bring in new change. And kudos also to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Tinubu, who saw the idea that he brought up and said, look, this is the way to go. And that's where we are moving. The new era you have seen, the new changes you have seen is centrally because of that. A new sheriff in town and also a political will to do the needful.
I'm glad you are saying that we now have a new sheriff in town, so definitely we should be expecting major changes, not just in the national orientation rebranding, but also in the lives of Nigeria.
Certainly. In fact, why we are here is part of the rebranding. It's part of also to see the changes in the life of Nigerians. In fact, And if you've been following up towards the tail end of last year, last quarter of last year, there were lots of programs, all through the federation and not just in FCT. We are talking about the 774 local government that we have in Nigeria, and of course the states, the 36 states, including FCT, that we have. Everywhere people were talking about, oh, National Orientation Agency, not just for mouth, but also programs that affect the citizens of this country.
That's a very good one and a very good way to actually commence this particular program. But then let us now go back to the main issue that brought you here. For some time, many Nigerians have been scared. Just recently, I tried to help somebody to move the person from point A to point B. And just parking by the side, just to help this particular elderly woman, she was scared of even entering the car so that I can assist her because it was already late at night. This was not how it used to be. In the past, you can travel from Lagos down to the north, and when your vehicle breaks down between maybe Benin or a road, villagers can actually accommodate you. But over time, all these have eroded. What has changed?
Yeah, what has changed is really much, but let me just go straight to one or two issues. What has changed is the duty of care. There's this fear in human beings that, look, if I come close to you, I don't know what I'm going to receive in return. Nigeria have been known even right from there. Our culture is the culture of care. We care about our people, especially our elderly ones. The scenario you just painted now shows that, look, even the elderly ones are afraid, just like the young ones. The idea behind it is not far-fetched. People now feel that, look, the best way to go about life is money. The love for money has taken over everything, every facet of the economy of our being. The religion I belong to says the love money is good, but the love of it is the root of evil. Yes, you can have money, but what means are you making the money? Is it the right way to make the money? Are you putting hard work? Nigeria is known to be hardworking people. But we'll find out these days in recent times that the way people make the money, they just make it at when they split their hand that the money should come in. And that's the wrong way to go. And that is why national orientation is on the road. And of course, in the country saying, look, this is bad. Can we go back to the old system? Can we go back to Genesis? And what caused this thing? And how do we change the narrative? So that is why national orientation is out there now to, enlighten the people. National Orientation Agency has the mandate to enlighten, sensitize, and also, mobilize people so that they will change their attitude, not just on government policies, but on issues affecting the society. And of course, get feedback from the people and table it to the government and say, look, can we do this one or two things and let society be a better place to live? And that's why we're here to also talk about this get-rich-quick syndrome, which, as you just noticed, is one of the challenges that we're having in this country.
So in that particular aspect now, looking at what is happening in the country, the issue of the get-rich-quick syndrome, which has actually affected so many young Nigerians at the age of 13, 14. Just recently, we saw, just about 2-3 years back, we saw a boy of about 12 to 13 years old. They were moving from Delta State to Benin, probably to undergo one or two ritual, and that particular video went viral. Looking at your work, what you do, the challenges that comes with it, when you see issues like this, how do you come in and assist in the society?
Yes, ours is to, like I said, to enlighten people, tell them the good aspects of life. That yes, it's good to look for money, but look for it the right way. Like the scenario you just painted, what we do in that aspect is, we bring enlightenment to the public. We bring sensitization where, speak to them, speak to their conscience. When you speak to somebody's conscience, he might not take it immediately, but when he goes back home, he thinks about it and say, look, this is not the right way to go. We know there's greed. There's this, let me make it. Let's look, everything can stay so long as I have money. So like the scenario we just painted, what we do in that aspect, we go down, the age bracket you mentioned is very critical. If we get it right at that age bracket, then we'll get it right. So what we normally do and what we still do is we go down, not just to the grassroots, we go down to schools, secondary school, primary schools. As I'm talking to you, this program we're having is also simultaneously being heard all the 6 area councils in FCT and of course other 774 local governments we have in this country, because including FCT, they are moving to schools, both primary and especially secondary and tertiary institutions, who normally, this social media we are talking about, this phone we are talking about, is a good thing, but it's bringing some challenges. So we go to them one-on-one and speak to them and tell them, please, can we use this, something that God has brought to us through knowledge and intellectual, to make good things, not just to see how we can take money away from people in a dubious way. So we move as National Orientation Agency to inform them and to orientate them that, look, use your phone for this, for good purposes. There are 1,001 things we can use our phones to do, and we make good money. Not by dubious means, not by deceiving somebody and tell the person, please do this and do that. At the end of the day, the person will not have peace if you make your money through that way. Our activity generally is to go and talk to them, like the scenario you just painted, a 13-year, 14-year-old. For crying out loud, at that age, they are supposed to be getting knowledge. Yes, we know money is very important. Their parents will be there. Even if their parents are not there, government has set up activities that they can even get educated without spending much money. But that's an issue to talk for another day. But the important thing is for these young adults or young people to know what to do. Move into that place. If you are not, look, Nigeria is blessed with intellectuals, but they are applying, most of them are applying it for the wrong reasons.
What do you think are the major pushers for young Nigerians to be engaged in this particular act of getting rich quick?
One word for it is greed. Yes, you can say there is poverty in the land, but if you don't have that, mind of being greed or being somebody else and not being yourself, you're not going to that. Contentment is very key. If you are contented with whatever thing you have, the little you have will make much and will speak much about you. But you find out that the young people, when they see somebody driving a nice car or Porsche car, their mind is say, oh, when will I drive this car? At 18, at 17, at 16, you are thinking of driving Ferrari or what they call it, and you are thinking that's the right way to go. You are comparing yourself to somebody that is 30, 35, and you want to live like that person. Come on, that's not the way to go. So greed and lack of financial literacy is also making those people, because you don't have the financial knowledge of how to go about it. So you can even be persuaded or swear to say, look, this is how to go about it. Why don't you do this and do this? And because of that greed, you'll find yourself doing what you're not expected to do.
But many Nigerians will argue with you and say, look, for instance, yes, we may say greed. And many will say, actually, corruption has actually brought us to this particular point where everybody wants to have it easily. Because if we don't have high level of corruption in the country, the social amenities that are actually that will be put in place to actually accommodate these young minds. For instance, the sport facilities, good schools, good road, good viewing centers, and the rest would have actually reduced this crime in the society. So do you think the government is actually doing what is needed to actually abate this sustaining trend of getting rich quick? Sorry.
Yeah, the government might not be doing everything right, but it's work in progress. It's a gradual process. And let me also make you remember that, look, corruption is everywhere. Even in foreign countries, it's everywhere. If you change, and I change, another person changes, then you just find out that things will become better by the day. But when you say, oh, because Mr. A is doing wrong, let me continue to do wrong, then the rotten egg will spread around. But when you do your own part, and I do my own part, another person does his own part, even the person that is doing wrong will learn from you and say, oh, can I go through this route and do what is right? And with that, we start changing the system. And that brings me to what, Nigeria and indeed NOA is promulgating. If you see what I'm wearing, it's saying 7 for 7. What does it mean? 7 for 7 has a role for the citizens and also has a role for the country. When I'm talking about country, I'm not talking about just those in government. I'm talking about you and I. Let the citizens do their own, and let the country, both workers, those who are working, do their own. As you call me here and you're doing your own job, another person, the cameraman, is doing his own job, the work is going on. Nobody's asking for anything, nobody's asking for anything, and the work is going on. So if everybody does what is right and do what is needful, then We don't need to look at who is corrupt. And with that, the facilities you are talking about, the road network and the schools and all that will gradually be built. And these citizens, our young ones, we say, look, they are seeing country that is changing. And that's the narrative that National Orientation Agency is promulgating and want to carry on.
We hope the reverberation will actually get down to the society, most especially where we always have it very difficult to manage. We are having a society where you see the divorce rate is increasing. Yeah. You see the poverty index increasing. You see inflation also increasing. Yeah. Do you see Nigerians actually toeing your line of playing a major role in orienting them and saying that yes, there's change in attitude or mindsets?
Yes, I see that coming up.
Because the pressure is building.
Yes, I see that happening. But Rome was not built in a day, so the saying goes. So it's a gradual process, like I said. In some of the programs we've had, we have gone to the extent of going to the locals, meeting the chiefs around. Some days ago we had Jikwe, and we interacted with even the young people. When we interacted with the young people, they saw the ideas. And when you don't talk to people, they don't know what is really happening. And that's where National Orientation Agency comes in. We talk to them one-on-one, not from afar. And that's why we have this grassroots reach. In the communities, you can meet a person one-on-one and tell the person, please, how do I get this? And the person will direct you on how to go. And if you go and get it, next time you will come back. When I'm talking about some of the government policies, the problem, one of the challenges is that do citizens believe that they can get it? But if you go to some of these national orientation agencies and meet them, they can give you perfect information. I'm sure that many Nigerians don't know that we have, at a touch of finger, AI that can tell you where to go and get something. Artificial intelligence. If you just, Google National Orientation, our website, www.noa.gov.ng, it will just open up.
Should we have faith in the NOA, most especially that of the FCT, to actually see a major shift in attitude when it comes to this issue that we are discussing?
Certainly we should. That is not something NOA alone can do. All hands must be on deck to achieve that. The government, the citizens, the people, the government, the people, and all should sit down.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adigo Uche Frank, Deputy Director, National Orientation Agency, FCT Directorate, and thank you for being part of this particular program. Mr. Adigo Uche Frank is part of those who manage the civil value and democracy education, and it's wonderful having you today on this particular platform.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is how far we can go with Mr. Frank, and then the second segment we'll be having Mr. Abubakar Aminu Wodi, who is also a Deputy Director from the National Orientation Agency, to tell us more on the issue of unscoping of fuel after you've seen a fallen tanker. And for many of us who took note of what happened just recently, I think the last one was in Anambra State, it's somewhere in the east, where some persons actually died as a result of a fallen tanker. We also had one recently in Niger State. And before then, the most tragic one happened in Jigawa State. If we take a trail of this, the same events and the same story at the end, it brought a very gory pictures for many of us who witnessed that particular incident. It's not a good one. But why is it that when we have fallen tankers, Nigerians still rush to that particular site? And what's the role of NOA in all this? And we also take a look at the major impact it has in the society just after the break. Stay tuned.
We were warned about this marriage. Because we did not listen, the young maiden is dead.
Nana, come here. Hi. Why do you speak so freely with a stranger from Ajani?
We were just talking about offering Ojigijage a seat on the council.
The gods be praised. Negodo Nselko Sisi, he has 2 wives. So why are you making it look like it is a big deal?
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
Welcome back from that break. And just before the break, we had Mr. Frank discussing the issue of the getting rich quick syndrome, which has actually affected so many Nigerian youth in the country. And just a mild change, we'll be having the head of media and communication of that agency, the FCT. The FCT at this Farouk instead of the earlier one announced. And then the reason why we're having the head media and communications, because there are so many activities that are actually ongoing, and one of it was what I discussed earlier on, the issue of the falling tanker on our road, and how has this actually affected many homes, many families. Many people have actually lost their brothers and sisters from this particular tragedy. And Mr. Farouk, good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon edition.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's nice having you today. For some time we've been ferreting, we've been trying to comb you people to the studio, but thank God we are getting you guys now, and I believe that is also part of the rebranding process, and we hope to keep this relationship.
We're always here for it.
Okay, for some time now we've been having scooping of fuel from fallen trucks, and one of the key problems we have is what do you think are the risks associated with the scooping of fuel from fallen trucks, and how can individuals be educated on these dangers?
Oh, thank you so much first for having me again. The National Orientation Agency is really concerned about what has been going on over the years. It's still part of the get-rich-quick syndrome. But then it's not about poverty as such. It's more like the Deputy Director earlier said about the greed. And poor people don't really steal, and hunger doesn't actually make you steal. But people actually see this like an opportunity, like they can get something. But they do not realize the danger. Danger is too much. The risk is high. It is bad for you. It is bad for the environment. It is bad for the economy. But then most especially, you should also realize that scooping the fuel is actually stealing, because it is actually somebody's merchandise that, well, now the accident has happened, so much money is being spilled, and then you rush. And some of the people that were involved in it actually had more at home while they were coming to school for a gallon, and then the tragedy happened. And then when the tragedy happens, it doesn't only affect you, it affects everybody. And some of the things that the National Orientation Agency has been doing over the past couple of weeks is trying to sensitize people about this danger. Apart from the people, want to sensitize the drivers, the owners of the trucks, how they should also take care of the safety of these vehicles, and then to ensure the road safety, the VIOs, how the trucks should be in good working condition. You know, the vehicles must be worthy to be on the road. Then the people, when it does happen, they should not rush to these places because a slight spark causes this thing. And then the spillage causes destruction of the environment, the ecology is spoiled, and it affects everybody, men, women, and children. The government is actually concerned because our people are actually negatively affected by it. So we try our best to call people's attention. Once you see this thing happening, run away from it and then call the nearest authority their attention to it so that it can equally be, they can immediately bring rescue, yes, to this. And then the truck owners are also advised, because these tankers, there's a normal technology that makes sure that even if an accident happens, a spillage does not occur. These insurers can now insist that no truck that is carrying fuel would be insured if it does not meet certain safety conditions. And then because of the situation like this get rich quick, you just think that, oh, there's something you can make quick money. And then this money results. See what happened in Diko. In fact, it's so devastating that when so many people looked at it, they couldn't look at the pictures anymore. So there are so many things.
Let me quickly ask you, are you satisfied with our response system in the country, most especially that of government agencies? For instance, you mentioned the issue of the road safety, the VIOs. One key aspect of it is even the Federal Fire Service. Are you satisfied with the response when it comes to issues like this?
Yes, we are satisfied because we work
despite the death recorded.
Yeah, but what I'm just saying is we can do more. We should do more.
But don't you think it is one too many? Because we had one in Jigawa State, we had in Diko, we had I think in the eastern part of the country, almost at the same time. But then when you look at the death rate, you start questioning these agencies of government if they are actually doing what they need to do. Because the one at Diko, it took them time before they could arrive at the scene. I think FRSC were the ones to get there on time.
Yes.
But then were they able to quench the fire? No, they can't put a stop. That is not their responsibility. It's to condone the area. So, for instance, the Federal Fire Service, do you think they've actually done enough to manage issues like this, most especially at that particular period when we know that, yes, fire outbreak is imminent at any point in time? It could be in a mall, it could be anywhere.
Yes, but
you are still satisfied with that?
Yes, I'm saying they can do more. Because if you look at it from this perspective now, the incidents that happened in Diko, the response will come either from Suleja or from Medan or from the FCT. But then communication, the information has to be given out. And then when people are more concerned about scooping rather than reporting the accident, since these agencies are far, they have to be contacted. And then once you contact them, they mobilize. And they do that as fast as possible. We work in tandem with the FCT, the fire service, the Federal Road Safety, the Vehicle Inspectorate Officer, that's the DRTS. And then in the FCT, if you notice, it is not as bad as in other states, right? And then once something happens and you need the FCT to respond, it's just like a partnership support. So you find out that FCT now has Road Safety Council, which continuously does all these checks. So when I say they do enough, they don't do 100%. But then if you can get 60% response, the remaining 40% is supposed to come from the citizens. And then once the citizens are more concerned about scooping, and then this scooping is not exactly legal, it's not a business you are doing. You are trying to steal something from someone that does not really belong to you. And in the process, you withhold information, and that information is supposed to be sent as quickly as possible to enable these agencies to react and save as many lives as possible. And like I said, the vehicles, like Nigeria is wide. Aside from that, these agencies need information. That's why the National Orientation Agency has always had a program of saying, see something, say something. If you do not say it, sometimes the officials cannot react. If something is happening here in Katampe, we have to have a mechanism to send out a report before the police can hear, because our people are not magicians.
So now, for your own, now let me quickly come back to the NOA. For many, just like I discussed with the first guest, I've said it that over time we've discussed about the NOA's responsibility and the mandate that actually makes them to stand. Looking at the NOA presently, can you give us that assurance, mostly that of the FCT, that you guys are now set to actually work to provide enough enlightenment for the people? Because if we keep that of DICO aside, we've had different fire incidents in the FCT. In Banex, not one, not two. Presently, I think that of Next Cash and Carry is under renovation. We've had one or two. And there are other related incidents like this. If you go to some of these malls today, you discover that you even don't get fire extinguishers and the rest. What role will you now play as that of the FCT NOA to manage issues like this, to further create that awareness to Nigerians that, look, the FCT is very, very important. When something like that happened, for instance, the Federal Secretariat some years back, we had issues like that. When something like that happened, these are what you should do. Do we have enough of the numbers outside there?
Yes, we do. You see, let's take the case of Banex, for instance. The fire service responded immediately because the message went out. But then the congestion on the road, the trucks could not reach those places. The property that was engulfed by fire, there's a building code. And every institution is supposed to be doing its job in this supervision. Every high-rise building has fire safety.
So in this particular case, the NOA, yes, what are they supposed to be doing in these places where people actually jam-packed, and then issues like this can likely happen?
You see, the National Orientation Agency, what we do is to enlighten. Like we are here now telling people, don't do this, try and do this, right? For emergency responses, what we do is we have contacts with people. We have contacts in communities. So once you get to us, we know that we can reach our partners that we know. At all times, we keep saying this, and we work with the FCDA. The FCTA knows that there's a building code. There are supposed to be inspectors in certain buildings. If you don't have this, like you cannot transact a business in a bank that does not have sprinklers, fire detectors, and the rest, right? And then you can shut down the bank. But because the bank deals with money, they know that they cannot afford to be shut down, so they always replace. But then some of these malls, like you spoke about, have to be always, there has to be constant checks. And we also always bring these things to the notice of whoever. And like you wrongly said, no, like the National Orientation Agency is now. No, the National Orientation Agency.
But we've not for many Nigerians. Yes, sir. I'm not trying to dampen what you guys are doing. Over the time, we've raised critical issues that has to do with the role of the National Orientation Agency on several platforms. And but now, that's why I'm telling you that we are not seeing a reverberated.
But please give me a
National Orientation Agency.
What I'm trying to say, right? Yeah. You see, there's a misconception because now you're asking me the role of National Orientation Agency when there is a fire. You see, that is not our role.
We know, but our mandate is to enlighten.
Yes.
So
what I'm saying,
the enlightenment. I remember the National Orientation Agency in the past. whenever you are going, sometimes you can just be on the road, you just see a handout telling you about certain things that is to enlighten you properly about probably maybe the community, to enlighten mothers, fathers. Okay, your children shouldn't be out of school; they should go to school. We've seen national orientation in the past. We can wait when it was good, and it is our responsibility to actually attest to the fact that this thing we are not getting that vibe we used to have. And now we are now seeing a revampation. We are now seeing a national orientation that's actually coming up with that sense to Nigeria that look, we are back and we are ready to go.
Oh, yes, we are. And like I told you earlier, right? We have integrity clubs in nearly every school, every public school in the FCT. And these clubs, we always sensitize them. And then we think that the best way to actually mold them is to get them young. So we start from school. We even for instance, for the national anthem, people say the new national anthem. We're in primary schools, we're in secondary schools, we're in tertiary institutions, and we keep sensitizing people. But then there are certain things that are beyond our response. What we can do is to always enlighten and expect that at the time that something is happening, you will do the right thing.
So at this particular point, let me just quickly ask you: do you think how can Nigerians, for instance, measure your rate of success, or how do you, as an agency, measure your rate of success when you've actually given out orientation, maybe in the next 5 years? How do you check the change in attitude?
We always every we have has a feedback. Every program of government that comes up, we roll it out in every community. Like in the FCT, we're in all the 6 area councils, and we're in all the 62 wards, and in certain communities. And we relate with the traditional institutions and all community-based organizations and faith-based organizations. As soon as there's a policy from government, the National Orientation Agency carries government's messages, but it doesn't say that we do everything 100% the way government wants. So we tell the people, this is what government intends to do. Then you tell us, okay, we want to do this, but we have these challenges here and there. We take it back to government, and government fine-tunes the policy. That is our role. And really, we have the feedbacks, especially for freedom of information. We have been telling people there's an open government policy, right? Government, you can ask questions. If you are not responded to, you can come to us. We go to government and say, oh, this did not happen, and these people want this information, and we give you the information.
Many Nigerians will say that is ambiguous. Maybe that is when for many Nigerians, we've seen even journalists at times, for you to even have access to information is even very, very difficult. But then I'm happy and I'm glad. That's why I'm glad that you are now telling us, you are now enlightening Nigerians that whenever we need information, we can actually run to the National Orientation Agency. And thank you so much, Mr. Thank you so much, Mr. Jafar Bala Farouk, Ed Media and Communication, for being part of the application.
For federal government, the National Orientation Agency is always open. If you have a complaint, most especially, send it in.
Thank you so much, and Jafar Bala Farouk, for joining us on the afternoon.
Thank you so much.
It's nice having you on the program. And then this is how far we can go today on the afternoon edition, discussing with the Ed Media and Communication. Axis, let me call it directory. Thank you for that correction, please. And that's the FCT. And we hope for Nigerians that we stop school before, and we also try as much as possible to be patient, to learn the trade, and then become good in what we do. That way, wealth can actually trickle down our way. My name is Isanu from the studio of ASO Radio and Television. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed. Thank you so much.